straw fixed to the end of a pole. Dunmore decided that the enemy of his enemy was his friend, that the slaves whom the whites often feared were Britain's natural allies in Virginia. As Thursday, April 20th, 1775, became Friday, April 21st, Royal Marines removed 15 half-barrels of gunpowder from the public magazine at Williamsburg to the HMS Morgan, effectively disarming the Virginians. A furious crowd of colonists gathered outside the governor's palace, ready for anything. At the palace, Dunmore announced that he was simply securing the powder in the event of a slave insurrection. The royal governor barely concealed his fury and contempt, later calling the crowd one of the highest insults that could be offered to the authority of His Majesty's government. Dunmore was especially angry about the presence of militia in Williamsburg, noting that the colonists were treating with him under the muskets of their independent company, which they left only at a little distance from my house. 2 days later, Dunmore arrested 2 of the company's leaders. It was then that he truly struck. On Saturday, April 22nd, 1775, Dunmore announced that by the living God he would declare freedom to the slaves and reduce the city of Williamsburg to ashes, should there be further injury or insult to the royal establishment. Reaction was swift and predictable. From Pennsylvania, a colonist wrote a friend overseas, "Hell itself could not have vomited anything more black than his design of emancipating our slaves." Colonists with slaveholding sympathies either began or accelerated their preparations for war. Jefferson among them. Jefferson was obsessed with politics of the Continental crisis. In a Sunday, May 7, 1775 letter to his old teacher, William Small, in England, Jefferson interrupted himself at one point to say, "But for God's sake, where am I got to? Forever absorbed in the distresses of my country, I cannot, for 3 sentences, keep clear of its political struggles." Yet he could not help himself. "Within this week," he wrote to Small, "we have received the unhappy news of an action of considerable magnitude between the King's troops and our brethren of Boston. The fact that blood was shed under such circumstances," Jefferson said, "seemed to doom prospects for a peaceful resolution." Small died in Birmingham, England, before Jefferson's letter reached him. Dunmore's seizure of the gunpowder and his statements about the slaves inflamed matters in Jefferson's immediate. In Albemarle County, the militia declared they wanted to demand satisfaction of Dunmore for the powder and his threatening to fix his standard and call over the negroes. To Jefferson, Dunmore was the particular manifestation of a universal truth. The British were unbending, apparently uninterested in even affecting an air of respect toward the Americans. The bolder the Americans grew, the surlier the British seemed. Ever sensitive to slights and conscious of the alchemy of human relationships in which respect, rivalry, affection, and deference were bound together in varying and changing proportions, Jefferson was able to detect such shifts in the political realm as well as in his personal one. He offered an astute analysis of the British approach. A little knowledge of human nature and attention to its ordinary workings might have foreseen that the spirits of the people here were in a state in which they